I'm going to show you how to replace this blend door actuator that controls recirculation in your Jeep, and how it works is it has this little lever that pulls it in and out of recirculation mode, but in my case that broke off, as you can see, and it's a pretty simple fix. You just remove the glove box and the speaker panel and you're able to remove that. I do have a theory that this could have a factor if you're having issues with your heat. I had issue with my heat for a while, and I've replaced the controls and the other blend door actuator, and I checked the heater core and I think everything was good as far as like air bubbles and stuff like that. But eventually my heater core did fail, and as I was replacing that, I noticed this was broken. And so I replaced this and my heater core at the same time, and I started having heat again. I didn't have heat before that, and I started having heat after I did that. So I think this could be something to look at if you're having heat issues, and it's pretty simple to check, and I'll show you in the next video of what it looks like when you have the Airbox out and actually seeing it so you can see it in more closely. You don't have to do that to replace this part, of course, but it's just easy to see when it's out of here. In order to see if this is your problem, you just replace or remove the speaker panel, and you'll be able to see behind the speaker and look at where that lever is. If the lever is in one way or the other, then you'll know that it is stuck in recirculation mode or stuck out of recirculation mode, and it's easy to just kind of put it into the other one manually if this is your problem. So I'll show you a couple of videos and a couple of segments of like how to diagnose the problem, and then I'll show you actually how to replace it as we get through that. This part number will be in the in the description below, and there's a couple different variations of blend door actuators in the Airbox part of the Jeep, and you just have to find the right part number for the specific actuator that you need to replace. So I'll have a link to that below. So see how this is broken? It should have a lever that attaches to here and opens this up. And when it broke in the recycle mode, forcing it to recycle, which if you look on the controls of the AC, recycle is only for AC, not for heat. So I think this is my problem and why I don't have any heat, because it wasn't able to go to this mode, and so therefore I assume that means heat wasn't working. So I haven't got a new part to replace this yet, but hopefully this will, I'm just gonna go ahead and just put it in this mode for now, and then hopefully that will fix my problem for having heat in the car. We'll see. So I'm gonna show you how to figure out if this is your problem. So first off, you need to remove the glove box, and then also remove the side panel and the speaker out of the way, which is just 2 screws and then clips, and then the speaker has a few bolts that you need to get out of the way. Then to see if this is your problem, you would just look back here, and specifically looking at that black piece right here. That black piece, if it is pointed to the right as it is now, this is stuck out of recirculation mode, so it is not recirculating right now, and I've manually put it into this mode, and that has been producing heat for me. But my problem was that it was stuck in recirculation mode. So if I reach back here and I just flip that over, now this is in recirculation mode. So if you look back here and you see that that's what it looks like, it's stuck in the left, even when when the car's running and you're trying to put heat on and everything, this would tell you that is the problem. And you could also look back and see if it's broken by looking at where it connects. So if you look at this spot here where you see the black, middle of the black piece, it should be connected to right here through a metal bar. And in this case, this has been broken off, and so that's not doing its job. And that was my problem, is this broke when it was in recirculation mode, and then therefore it can't put it out of recirculation mode, and so that means it can't produce heat. And I'm gonna work on trying to replace this part, but if you just want to manually just put it into recirculation mode like I did, that should be producing heat for you, and then you just don't have the option to use the controls like you're supposed to be able to. But this is the quick fix, and then the more permanent fix is to replace this vacuum pump or vacuum mechanism here to get it to work with the controls. So now that this part's out, it's a little bit more clear just where things are going to go. So right here is going to be where the clip goes into. That's also what you're trying to pull the clip out of. And then what you're going to do with the little arm is then clip the arm onto this mechanism when it's over to the right. That's when it should fit in there. and then that should start. And then you gotta put the vacuum line back on, and then that should be fixed and ready to go. So I got the part out. I just want to show you kind of what's going on. Right here you have a clip. This clips onto the airbox. You're going to pull this clip towards the passenger side of the car and then pull the whole device or whole part out towards you. Then you have a part right here that is for the hose. You're going to pull that vacuum line off, and then you're going to do the reverse of that. So here's the new part I'm about to put in. You have this clip. You're going to just kind of push this forward onto the part there, and then you have this spot here. This is going to be where the hose goes back onto, and then this is going to be going onto the mechanism that opens and closes that door. This right now, when it's not in use, when it's not pulling vacuum, is going to be extended, and it's going to be in the non-recycle mode. So it's going to be farther out to the right. Then when it's in recycle mode, what it does is it pulls vacuum, and then it's going to pull this in, and then it's going to put in vacuum mode only when that vacuum is pulled, and then it's going to extend. The issue that happened to me is it just happened to be right here when it broke and didn't push it back into the other mode. And that's going to be what we're going to go ahead and do, is put it back in there. But that's kind of what's going on with this part. So I got it back in. You have to go in from the glove box side for it to fit in. You can't do it from the other side, and then it just simply goes in, and then you clip it in and then put that hose on. And let me show you kind of how it's working. It's pretty simple what it does, but apparently makes a difference. Just turn the key on, and then you can clip over to recycle mode. You see it pulls it over to the left, and then put it out of recycle mode, and then it releases, and then it just puts it back in the default mode. But again, if it's stuck in the left side, you won't have any heat. So that is the problem, and it is fixed, which I'm glad to see.